Okay, so we are live. Quick question, Elena, Jacob, do you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Perfectly fine.
Good. So I hear you as well, means that from technical point of view, we are doing good. All right, then, it's time to begin. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is a Digital Label Masterclass webinar series session number 4. For those who haven't joined our previous events, we make those webinars to share knowledge and experience around digital label printing. Every time we focus on specific topic, technology, and the market segment. Today, our topic is printing label on demand with water-based inkjet technology. We all know that digital label printing goes hand in hand with the need for faster lead times and shorter runs. And what could be faster than printing label on demand at the product manufacturing side? You print when exactly you need the label, you decide how many labels you need, and you adjust the design on the go. Today, we have invited 2 colleagues from the industry whose job is to make sure that we have all the elements needed to print label on demand. So please welcome Jacob Kalergis, Head of Product Management at Epson. Jacob will tell us about the technology, the market, and the latest printer developments. We also have here Elena Montana, who is a product manager at Digital Solutions at Avery Dennison. Elena will give us some insights about label material portfolio and some additional details about the latest media developments we have at Avery Dennison. So Jacob, Elena, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Vladimir Tulpin, and as for all previous sessions on digital printing, I will be your moderator for today. Before we begin, a couple of general comments. First of all, the recording for this webinar and slides will be shared with you after this session. Secondly, if you want to ask questions, you need to scroll down, and below the presentation, you can see the place where you can type your question. We will handle those at the end. And thirdly, next to the questions, we have polls. This is where we're asking you one question. And the question is, if you supply media for on-demand printing, in what industries do you observe the biggest growth? So we kindly ask you to participate in those polls. We believe everyone will be interested to see the results. The more people answer, the better results we have. So please also click on polls and put your information in there. This was the last point I wanted to share in my introduction, and now I would like to give a floor to people who can actually share something useful with you. So Jacob, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vlad. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start, as I usually like to start my presentations, I want to give some figures to talk a little bit about the opportunity behind, give some background information, the context, if you like. So for the labels in general, according to data we have collected, the annual volume production has seen a rapid increase in the last 5 years and is expected to do so for the next few years. So from 711 million square meters in 2017, it is expected to reach 861 million square meters in 2024. In this presentation, we'll provide some explanation of why this increase and what we can do about it. But a couple of interesting points I would like you to remember is, first of all, any product, in order to be able to be sold, has to have a label on. And equally, a box, a parcel, in order to be delivered to its destination, also needs to have a label. We live in an era where everything that can be digitized will be digitized. So, for instance, office documents, forms, photos, images. However, a physical product cannot be digitized, and labeling for physical products are necessary. Therefore, labels are going to stay with us for quite some time. Let's now see how any manufacturer or producer who manufactures a certain product can get labels for their products. On the right-hand side, we have the traditional method, which is called print for pay, In other words, that manufacturer goes to a label printer, a label professional converter, hands out the artwork, pays the money, and then a few days later, weeks, he receives the labels into his address. That's one way. Or what we have seen and we've been advocates of in the last few years is the print for use or in-house production of labeling. What that basically means is that same manufacturer can buy an affordable but professional label printer machine to use inside his premises and print whenever he or she wants. And it is that part of the label segment, the label sector, the so-called on-demand printing that has seen the biggest increase and the biggest trend in the market. So the compound annual growth rate for the on-demand printing is estimated between 2016 and to 2020 at around 37%. This is one of the fastest growing rates in digital color. So this is why I think it is really interesting to focus a little bit deeper. Giving some explanations why this particular on-demand is on the rise. I've got this infographic who provides some explanation. First of all, it has to do with the latest or the current manufacturing production methods, what we call just-in-time production, which is about short runs of a lot and customized product articles, which need to have a certain component at the given time, so you can move on to the next stage. To provide some more information or some more explanation about this, we have a research by VDC who surveyed several manufacturers of products and interviewed them in order to find out more evidence. So according to this survey, 45% of those manufacturers replied that they want flexibility and choice when it comes to printing their labels. Why? Because according to 45% of them, it's going to be very beneficial, very helpful to meet regulatory requirements, which will help them avoid paying penalties and fines. Then 57%, an even bigger percentage of them, said that branding requirements, branding for their labels, is so important and is a driving factor for them to actually switch to color on demand. And then some of those companies who actually use pre-printed or pre-produced labels said that on average, 9.3% of the labels they have ordered, they have purchased, goes to waste. Why? Because the product no longer exists, or they found a mistake on the labels, or simply some conditions have changed, and therefore those labels cannot be used anymore. And this can be quite a huge waste. In order to give an overview of all the benefits, I've got this slide, which hopefully will give you or be able to give you enough explanation and enough arguments when you speak with several types of manufacturers about on-demand. So the first one that is becoming obvious is that you're taking control of the design and production of your labels. And that is related to synchronizing with the actual production of your products. So you can speed up or slow down as the manufacturer wants, do not have to wait or do not have to rely to some external provider, supplier. That reduces also the mistakes and also limits the cost. So you don't have to worry if a mistake was made on the artwork of a label. You can easily correct it and start printing the next label immediately. And therefore, no wastage, as we explained, and freeing up valuable space in the warehouse. You don't have to save space to stock up labels. And the most important, in my mind, is you don't have to pay for upfront costs for pre-printed labels. So, having explained that this indeed is a very interesting market which has a lot of opportunity, and giving a lot of explanation why, what are the driving forces in the market, I'm sure that the question that everybody is thinking of is, okay, then if we were to look for opportunities, where should we look? And this is what we're gonna present in the next part. Before we do that, however, I would like to share a little tip, something that can help you from the first 5 minutes of a conversation you're going to have with a potential customer. You can identify if that customer is ready to make the switch to in-house and on-demand labeling, or maybe not so. By analyzing the various projects we had over the years, we came up to two basic criteria that tell us, indicators that this company has actually great need in using an in-house labeling solution. The first one is the number of product articles, the number of SKUs that specific manufacturer has. So typically, if anyone has got more than 100 product articles, then it becomes too complicated to keep pre-printed stock. The other part is the number of days from the time they receive an order till the time they have to ship the product out of their door. So again, if that same manufacturer cannot afford to wait, let's say, more than a week, then he's likely to want to have an in-house solution, an on-demand solution for producing his own labels. So bear this basic rule in mind. It can be really useful in identifying the right customers. Now, talking about opportunities, applications, and types of customers in the market, starting with product labeling, which is the most obvious one, and energy labels that go on to white goods and hardware and electrical products. You have cosmetics, you've got alcoholic products, you've got food products, frozen food, sauces, coffee pouches, tea pouches, confectionery products, and the list goes on. All of these categories are products will typically have multiple flavors, multiple editions, and therefore their manufacturers are in need of an easy way to produce labels in-house. Chemical is one of my favorite sectors. Why? Because as you will see in the picture, by definition, the chemical label needs to have a very specific format. Those pictograms that have to be printed in a very specific way. And practically speaking, the easiest way that you can do that is not with pre-printed stock. It's very impractical to do that, but having a printer which you can ask to print immediately the right type of label that you want. And chemical sector includes companies from raw material producers of chemicals, petrochemical companies, to plastic manufacturers, food preservative producers, flavorants, and fragrance companies, as well as pharmaceuticals. So a wide range of chemical companies that are in need of in-house on-demand solutions. Then talking about food in retail, as in stores who produce food on the go. Can be bakeries, stores, can be canteens, delicatessens, and so on. And usually they need to label, and they have to label the product. And usually they need to use color for the labels. Why? Because they want to highlight important information such as allergens, nutrition value information, or simply, and what we've seen as a very strong factor is they want to do a bit of branding, make their brand stand out and have their own audience, their own loyal customers, if you like. So color labels in their premises is something that we have seen as an increasing trend. Then moving on to other retail, typically supermarkets or DIY chains, those companies, they need to produce a lot of shelf edge labels, shelf tags, because they need to update the prices. Most of the times this is done with black and white. However, a lot of those companies have realized that by using color, they can attract more customers, they can guide customers and inform them about price reduction and other information, which we can only do if you add color. Another area in retail, which we have seen great use of on-demand labeling, is stores where they sell high-value products, and they need, as an added feature, as a gift, they want to personalize that product for their customers. So they would like to print a label with the name of the customer on that goes onto the packaging. Logistics is another great area. Why? Because by adding color, whether this is color coding or printing the actual image of the label of what is inside the box, can help reduce mistakes, can help make the operations more efficient, and reduce wasted time in trying to track down the right product. So improve traceability and improve effectiveness in logistics and transportation is a great need or a great benefit for on demand with color. Hospitality, we have seen a huge increase up until COVID. Of course, these days is not the best example as exhibitions and events are not taking place. However, when things do come back to normal, this is going to pick up again. And it's a very interesting opportunity for visitor badges, ticketing with color, or wristbands with color. And last but not least, healthcare, which I'm sure you'll agree is in the spotlight, whether this is pharmacy stores, hospitals, and specific use of labels, but also laboratories and test labs where color is pretty much needed for certain operations. Now, Epson, we have been investing in this market. We think of it as a very strategic business area. The latest addition in our product portfolio is the C6500 and 6000 series, which is basically 4 new models. Two of them are 8-inch wide and 2 of them are 4-inch wide. Another thing is that 2 of those models come with a peel and present function, which is unique for this kind of product area. And just to give a few information about the benefits that on the features side of those products in relation to the applications we spoke a few minutes earlier. So the first thing I have to say is these products are designed for heavy-duty industrial use. The inks are pigmented, which means that they're water and chemical resistant. and when combined, when used with the right type of material, the outcome is BS 5609 certified, which is very important for the chemical sector. On top of that, the 8-inch model can print up to 215 millimeters wide, which is A4 plus, is ideal for drum labeling. Talking about the quality, the print quality, the resolution can be up to 1200 by 1200 dpi, and not only that, but combine that with variable droplet size technology, and you can get stunning results, ideal for prime labels. On top of that, we have, for the first time, introduced a color management tool, very simple color management tool that allows, that is in the driver and comes as a standard, and allows the user to tweak colors to match their desired outcome if this is what they want to do. On top of that, and in particular for food labeling, we have done quite a lot of work trying to make to get compliance standards for our inks, and I'm listing down some of the key food standards that our inks comply with. Another key part is connectivity and integratability. Our new printer series comes with Windows, Linux, and Mac OS drivers. It has SAP drivers, so you can integrate with SAP environment. On top of that, it is ZPL2 compatible. It understands ZPL2 commands, which makes it so easy to replace legacy thermal transfer printers, and remote device and maintenance tools, which is ideal if someone has printers spread around in various locations. It does not need to be next to them to perform simple operations. The other thing that is, as I mentioned briefly earlier, is the unique peel and present function that is ideal for integration in label automation environments. Actually, this opens up a whole new spectrum of opportunities in automated environments where at the moment is dominated by black and white label printers only. For the first time, someone can introduce a full color on-demand solution in such environments. So in summary, I would stress media flexibility. You can go from as narrow as 25 millimeters to as wide as 215. High quality, easy operation. You can learn to use the printer in minutes. Software drivers to integrate to virtually any OS you want. Durable inks, and of course, the products comes with Epson renowned service and support, so that the customers do not have any sort of disruptions, which of course is a key thing to have in mind. So with this one, I stop and I hand it over back to you, Vlad.
Thanks, Jacob. It's great to see that Epson is innovating and coming up with the new printing solutions that come hand in hand with the market needs. And before we go to the next presenter, I just want to remind you that we have questions sections below. Please don't hesitate to ask whatever question you have, even if it wasn't presented, even if it's not something we're mentioning, but if it's related to the topic. We will answer those questions in the end, but just for you, don't hesitate and drop your questions. We have sufficient time at the end dedicated for the questions. And also we have polls. For those who haven't answered our question from polls, please do so. It's great to see many people answer that, so we have a good results and great statistics. With that said, I would like to hand it over to Elena. Elena will, so we talked about the machines and the market right now, and Elena will tell us about the materials. So basically, what products do we have in Avery Dennison portfolio to be used for that kind of market and those applications. Elena?
Thank you, Vladimir, and good morning, everyone. So indeed, I will now continue with the second part of this webinar, which includes more information about the water-based inkjet material selection. But before going into the material selection, I think it's important for us to understand that in order to print with water-based inkjet technology, the substrate need to be pre-primed with a thick top coat, which ensures that the ink is well accommodated into the substrate and defects such as bleeding or maybe smudging are avoided. So compared to conventional printing, where the top coat tends to have a thickness of around 1 micron, the materials for water-based inkjet can have a top coat with thickness of up to 30 micron. Having that said, due to this requirement of this thick top coat for printing with water-based inkjet, you may find that the pre-primed materials are more expensive compared to the standard materials without this treatment. However, the priming is really crucial in this case, since without this priming, the print performance will of course be suboptimal. In terms of durability of the material, for more challenging applications such as chemical drum labeling, where excellent water resistance and resistance to harsh environment is needed, then the substrate needs to have a very specific, very durable top coating to ensure material and print durability. But more about this particular materials I will discuss further on. So in terms of material selection, we have a wide range of materials available for different kinds of needs. These are a range of film and paper materials, all optimized for printing with water-based inkjet with both dye and pigment-based inks. So for example, this core portfolio includes gloss, semi-gloss, matte papers with standard emulsion adhesive or a stronger one such as hot melt, both suitable for the general purpose types of applications. Our film range includes as well gloss, matte, satin, and clear films, but also more special products such as, for example, a metallized film that you can see at the bottom of this list. This is perfectly suited for applications requiring a more differentiated and unique look. So some potential end-use application examples would be the labeling of handmade cosmetics, craft food, electronic cigarettes, or any other types of personalized products where the metallized look is a must. And by the way, since we now refer to the silver materials, I would also like to draw your attention to some of our latest news. We just recently did the first production of a silver matte film, which is at the bottom of this page. It prints very well with water-based inkjet with both dye and pigment-based ink. So if you're interested, then you can maybe be among the first to trial it. So to conclude on this range, both the papers and films can be combined with other adhesives or liners if needed, based on the kind of application that the label will be used. Now, going into more detail on the specialty products, I would like to start with the range of durable materials. These labels are designed to be used on products such as chemical drums, lubricants, or directly on tires. So just to give you an example, our drum labels range include materials which are designed to perform well in extreme labeling conditions such as including heat, chemical, cold, rain, snow, or even salty water, just to name a few. All the products in this range are BS 5609 certified, ensuring that the print and the information on the label is well preserved, and of course that the label will not fall off the drum once it's exposed or even immersed into seawater. And as Jacob also mentioned earlier, considering the chemical components inside the drums, the pictograms, and information of this labels must be well maintained in order to avoid any potential danger to the environment or even human health. So considering the drum label applications, these are under codes BH237 and BH238, just at the top of this list. However, if there is no need for a BS 5609 certified material, but a standard print would work just fine, which is the case, for example, when labeling lubricants. In this case, a very strong adhesive is needed to make sure, for example, in case of oil spillage, the adhesive performance remains unaffected. So for this range, we propose adhesive S277, which is a very strong permanent adhesive with excellent tack and adhesion to a wide variety of substrates, including the rough, but also polar substrates. So of course, apart from lubricants, this adhesive will also be suited for a multitude of other applications. And finally, we also have in our portfolio construction with Adhesive Ts 8000, which is the one at the bottom of this list. And this is especially designed to meet the performance requirements of the automotive tire labeling, so the labeling of tires. The next selection of materials includes label constructed with an adhesive that has a reclosure and removable properties. So in these cases, for a more general purpose type of application, the films or paper face stocks are combined with adhesive R5000N. So just to give you an example, imagine you just bought some mugs from IKEA and all of them come with a label on it. Now, in order to use these mugs, we obviously need to remove this label from the product surface. And it may be quite annoying sometimes when adhesive residues remain on the surface of the product and need to be scratched off. And so in order to avoid these kind of issues, the adhesive needs to have the right properties to be easily removed and leave the surfaces perfectly clean, which is what products with R5000 and adhesive could provide. On the other hand, if the label is needed for labeling of personal care or cosmetics items where reclosure properties are needed, for example, for wet wipes packages, meaning that the package is open and closed multiple times, then the UVR 145 adhesive would be advised, since it will ensure that the label maintains its multiple open and close functionality for a longer time. Also, to give you an example of other potential applications with this UVR 145 adhesive, let's have a look at a product under code AW783, the water-based Inkjet PP90 film with the UVR 145 adhesive. This label is used for printing energy labels for electronic items. And since this label will very likely be removed again from the item from the fridge, the microwave, or any other item that it could be applied on, the removability of the adhesive here is again of an utmost importance, since brand owners don't want their customers to have a bad experience with their product by having, for example, to scratch off the residues of the adhesive, this way also damaging the surface of the item. Then for applications in the food segment, for example, it would be mostly advised to use the C3 adhesive, which is a clear removable adhesive with good aging stability, meaning that the adhesive keeps its removability properties for much longer, making it suitable, for example, for applications such as the dry food reclosures. And finally, the last one, the labels with the R100 adhesive will be mostly suitable for applications where long-term removability is needed, but also for label applications requiring a good low temperature or even deep freeze performance. Moving on to the next segment, and more specifically the wine and spirits, we would like to share with you some more details on the products which we have just recently developed. And more specifically, this is a coated wine paper suitable for water-based inkjet printing. Now, historically, you may know that it has been a challenge to print uncoated wine substrates with water-based inkjet technology. Since the nature of this technology requires that the substrate has a top coat, since, as previously mentioned, without it, the substrate absorbs the liquid, the inks then spread unevenly in the paper, and as a result, the print performance is not optimal. And the solution to that is to, of course, optimize this wine paper with a special primer, which will maintain the tactile properties, but also visual characteristics of the wine material, but will greatly improve the print performance. So just to help you understand the extent that this top coat has really improved the appearance, please have a look at this printed image on the slide. On the right-hand side, we have the paper optimized for water-based inkjet, while on the left-hand side, it's the standard wine paper. All of these, by the way, are printed with Epson C7500G printer. So you can see straight away from the slides, from these pictures, that the overall print quality is greatly improved. The text, barcode sharpness, while also the vibrancy of colors is enhanced. So in this range, we currently have one product, which is the water-based inkjet Marthe Blanc paper, optimized for water-based inkjet printing with both the dye and pigment-based inks, and can be found under the code BV471. So also related to the wine and spirits segment, but perhaps can also be the case for other kinds of applications, where sometimes an opaque label is needed. So the opacity of a label can be achieved in two ways in our case. So firstly, if you look on the slide where you see on top, where you see in the product's name OPQ, it means that the label has solid opaque layer on the back side of the front material. While the second way is to achieve opacity using an adhesive with opaque properties, like, for example, the last two products with Z1010 adhesive. This adhesive ensures that once the label comes in contact with water, this gray effect that you see in these pictures on the non-opaque material on the right can be avoided. So the label is able to preserve its whiteness even under moisture conditions or when exposed to water. If choosing between the two types, the first kind, where the face stock is treated with an opaque layer, it would be more recommended for applications where dry opacity is more important, while the second types, with adhesive Z1010, it would be more recommended for application where the wet opacity is key. Our portfolio also includes labels with craft liners, and this range is designed for the sheet-fed market where optimal lay flatness of the label is key. The products are constructed with 55 gram craft liner or 100 gram craft liner, but through our program Mix and Match, we can offer also different ones if that's needed. Another interesting product in the water-based inkjet range is the paper you see at the bottom of this slide, which is constructed with a wash-off adhesive. This label is built with an adhesive that enables easy and clean removability of the label from the bottle in caustic water. So this is perfectly suited for cases when used bottles are collected, have the labels removed from the bottle in caustic water, and then have a new label reapplied on the bottle, and then next sent back to the market. So this is a practice widely seen across Germany or maybe even Benelux region. So this label will be perfectly suitable for returnable bottles. So I would like to finalize this part with presenting you a new tool that we have just recently launched. It's called the Digital Material Finder and can be found on the Avery Dennison official website under Customer Tools, which you see the image in the middle of the slide, or also in the digital printing section. So whether you have a water-based inkjet or even a UV inkjet machine or perhaps a toner press, you can make your selection in this tool, as you can see in the screenshot on the slide, and have the list of suitable materials displayed for you right away. So it's very simple. In a matter of just a few clicks, you can find the right material, but also you'll be given a selection to make based on a certain adhesive or perhaps liner that would be needed. And of course, for those of you who are interested in having a more detailed overview of this water-based inkjet product range, please also know that we have just newly launched a product guide with a list of products suitable for water-based inkjet printing technology. This guide, again, can be found online on Avery Dennison website under the digital printing section. So having that said, I would like to thank you all for your attention, and I will now hand it back to Vladimir, who will support us with the Q&A session.
Vlad, you're mute.
Okay, good. Now you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, sorry for that. Things like that happen. So I wanted to say thank you, Elena. It's a crisp and concise summary on the portfolio of materials we offer for water-based inkjet at Avery Dennison. Maybe just one remark on the last points Elena mentioned. We have the portfolio overview, one pager, very crisp. If you want to have an overview of all the products Elena presented. So if you want to have, if you don't want to waste time on searching it on our website, just drop us a message here in the chat or in the question, and we can send it to you personally. Yeah, with that said, let's go right into the question. We have plenty of time. We have several questions which already answered. So we had a question: are we getting explained why we are using why we need to use demand printing label on demands? And I think Jacob already answered that question in the comments, unless the person who asked the question has any more remarks, and does it give an answer? Jacob, maybe you want to give a couple of comments. We have time.
What I wanted to say is I tried to give a brief explanation in some of the applications why we have some compelling arguments for on demand, but every case is different. So if anyone wants to discuss something in particular, feel free to do so. We can not necessarily do it now, but we can find the time later on. It's no problem. That's what we're here for. So if you have any specific questions about a certain area of the market, feel free to talk to us.
Thank you, Jacob. And next question was: is there is an internal liner take up? And the question is, at this point, it is not offered, right, Jacob?
Not as an Epson, because you know there's many peripherals that someone might want to have for the printers, like rewinders and so on. However, we already have partners who specialize on the topic, and they have developed such solutions specifically designed for our products. If anyone is interested, I'd be more than happy to point to all the known providers of those peripherals, I'd be happy to do that. So if you're interested, let me know, and I'll send you later on some links.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jacob. And next question is actually quite interesting, and I think it's more to Elena. Jacob, you already gave some answer to that as well. So the question is, can you suggest a product to apply on non-inkjet materials that's to be able to become suitable for printing on Epson? I think we do have that kind of product, Elena, right?
Well, so just one moment, I will reread the question. So, all the products that are in our range are suitable for water-based inkjet printing.
Yeah, I think the question was more on if we have any product with applied on a standard material, which gives this material the feature of printability, or with Epson. We have that product. We haven't presented it today, Andreas, but we will be happy to send you the product name by the email after the session. If we go to the next question, does the Epson printers have OI connection? And
yeah, connection, yeah. So yes, they do. In fact, they have as I write, a 25 pin port at the back. And if anyone wants to know more how they can connect an external device using this serial port, we have a user's manual available which we can share. So if you want to take it further, by all means, let us know.
Thank you, Jacob. Then we have more questions, which is great. So next questions, where can the as a reseller buy those labels? And already some answers were given, but to Thomas, who wants to ask the question, in case basically the materials are available at multiple companies at distributor level, if you have challenges to find any of the materials we talked about today, you can always contact us and we can help you to find the right channel where you can purchase these materials. Next question. I see sometimes stickiness effects up to print PP high gloss inkjet labels, for example, AW393 products using inkjet printer, any kind. Is there a way we can avoid this?
So, very good question. Unfortunately, I'm afraid the answer would be not really, or maybe partially. So this effect is very specific to glossy materials, and mostly the glossy top coats. It's a very porous top coat, the structure of the top coat, which when in contact with water or even slight moisture, it feels this stickiness effect. So one way that potentially it could be avoided, perhaps make sure to decrease the moisture in the air somehow, or make sure that the air is dry, but also the surfaces or the, for example, it can be that your hand is wet. So in this case, you will again see this effect. And this is again due to the top coat, which it cannot really be avoided. So this is something that all the glossy materials will have.
Thank you, Elena. And I think it's a good answer. I also learned something new. I actually didn't know those details. Nikos, I hope it answers the question. So last question we have so far, are the water-based inks and the inkjet receptive coatings FDA food safe? And I'll probably pass it to both Jacob and Elena, because Jacob can comment on inks, well, Elena can comment on coatings.
Yeah, so although FDA is an American standard, and I'm not so much up to the details, we have all the lists of standards we comply with, and there is a specific FDA standard, the CFR21, where our inks are compliant with. I don't know if this answers the question fully, but what I could do is I could send you a leaflet which lists down all the compliance standards for food, and you can have a thorough look, and perhaps that answers more questions that you may have. So I can do that right after we can send you this leaflet information after this presentation.
Thank you, Jacob. Elena, maybe you can add some
Yes, so
information on materials.
Yes. To the second part of the question, we have in our portfolio products. Well, generally, the top coat can be and cannot be food approved. So again, it depends on the application and on the product. So if we refer to our range, for example, the general purpose portfolio includes products which are FDA approved. If you're interested in maybe a more specific kind of product, then we can maybe take it offline, and I could provide that information to you. But generally, if, for example, we would talk about the coating used for drum labeling, for example, this has a very specific kind of this top coat must have a very specific kind of properties. So in this case, if it's not designed specifically for food, then it's very likely that this top coating will not be FDA approved. I hope that answers your question, Adrian.
Thank you, Elena. In the meantime, I'm really happy that we have more questions coming. It means that there's something interesting to discuss. Next question. So the question probably to Elena: do you have a recycled paper range? Do you have any media that's fully recyclable?
Right now, we don't have a ready product available, but we can discuss it again offline in more details. But of course, this is something that can be constructed. So I suggest we perhaps take this topic offline.
Okay, great. Thank you, Elena. Next question we have, and probably it's our last question for today. Have you investigated if Epson 6500 printer requires HF100 kraftliner for transparent media in order to work properly and read black marks? Or is there a way we can make more standard transparent media like AW404 work with a normal glassine liner? I guess question more to Elena, right?
If I can add one thing on the first part of the question, because he specifically, Nikos specifically refers to these printers. There has been a new firmware release in September, where it makes it a little bit more easy should you use more transparent media to load the media manually, and therefore avoid the complexity at least at the beginning. But this is for loading the media. Obviously, what happens after, meaning if between the gap, the sensor, and what is the level of opacity that is needed. Of course, that is something that I suppose you can comment on.
We haven't yet investigated this particular issue, and I would need to we would need to probably test and print and see how it performs. So I'm afraid for now I don't have an exact answer for it, but we can test it, and I can come back to you with a suggestion or a solution to that.
Great, thank you, Dana. And for all the people who asked questions and didn't get the, did get some answer, but not the final resolution, like for example, on the last topic or the recycled paper, we'll follow up with you directly. So I'm sure we can give you the most detailed and clear answer and help you to find the right material or answer the right question about the printer. So I think that time-wise, we need to wrap up, and we actually don't have any question, which is just in time. So I would like to thank Elena and Jacob for the presentation. Very interesting insights today. Thank you, guys. Let's then look at polls, because we had polls and I see we have quite some answers. Just to remind you, the question was, if you supply media for on-demand printing, in what industries do you observe the biggest growth? And the answers, well, the options were chemicals, food and beverages, healthcare, retail, warehouse and logistics, home and personal care, and other. What we see that the 35% of people, almost 40% of people, as I speak, the numbers change. Well, most of the people answer chemicals and food and beverages. So it looks like those segments are growing the most when it comes to printing labels on demand. But we also hear and see that there's a wider distribution. So some people answered healthcare, retail, warehouse, and logistics. Interestingly, home and personal care, we do not see any interest in the penetration in this market, maybe very little. So, but it's a good indication for us. And we see also some people answered others. So obviously there are other industries which are interested in this technology, which shows the technology is growing and getting broader into the market. Well, finally, to the participants, I would like to thank you for joining. We will have more webinars like that in the future, so don't miss the newsletter. There will be more interesting topics. And on that note, I would like to close the session. Wish you a great day, and I see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.